it's midweek, you know it's understanding politics. Welcome to Professor Herman Manyora's channel. My name is Jadel Kabiro, here with Professor Herman Manyora. Midweek, Prof, how are you?
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Politics have started kicking in.
Yes. Sasa ngoma inaanza.
Ngoma inaanza. So every single midweek, we take a look at some of the comments you left behind last week's on Professor Herman Manyora's video. He spoke about how Uhuru is courting a revolution. Also spoke about why Uhuru will not take Ruto back. That is the handshake that most people are waiting for. But for now, let's take a look at what you said. Professor, here is KK. He says, Herman, you keep talking about two horses race. I am convinced you should be the third horse. There should be a third horse. In fact, the first horse, if you present yourself, you may have my vote and perhaps many others. He's saying you should run for presidency because you spoke about how Uhuru is courting a revolution. So much has changed since he became president. Do you think either of them deserve presidency?
You know, Kenyans talk about horses. If I stood, I'll be a human being with the two horses, so I'm the only human being. But Kenyans don't like looking for human beings. They'll be looking for horses. So for that reason, I'm not excited.
Ruto or Raila, do you think they deserve the presidency after you're seeing them speaking about presidential elections next year instead of talking about the fuel prices that are so high, the taxation and education system that people are not understanding? They're not talking about them. Do you think they deserve the presidency?
That's why I'm saying we will elect Ruto or Raila because they are good people to enjoy power. But I'm not overly optimistic that they can change this country. And that's why I think next week or thereabout, I'm doing a video that is going to challenge them. And I'm giving them a quiz of 10 questions. That if you want to change this country, what is your stand on this? And you don't beat about the bush. I'll mention one and tell you, do you believe in proper health care for this country? Because people who are not healthy, you will be leading people who are sick. So what is your stand? And I'll give him the questions he must address.
So that we are certain once
Ruto, Raila. For the time being, those are the people we know. Others will come up. Some donkeys, a mule here and there.
But not horses. Wabana says Uhuru, being a devout Catholic, opened his heart and told us the truth, i.e. 2 billion lost daily. Maneno's mind-boggling. Did Uhuru make a wrong decision coming and telling us that? And it's frustrating Kenyans, 2 billion.
But it is not news. He told us many years ago when he was finance minister in the Kibaki government. He told us we lose a third of our budget. If you look at our budget, 2 billion per day is close to a third of the budget. The World Bank has said as much. It's auditor's report, Auditor General's report. It shows all these things.
Shouldn't he have come up and said, this is what I'm doing about it?
That is what we have said, do this. But Uhuru sometimes argues that, I think one day he was speaking from Israel on our state visit in Israel. He said, you know, Kenyans are champions when it comes to stealing. And then another day he said, Mwataka nifanye nini? So in other words, he's saying, you have given yourself a constitution that has tied my hands. Because you have created institutions and agencies. And now, when it comes to corruption, there are those agencies in the constitution. They must deal with the corruption. EACC, DPP for prosecution, DCI, and so on and so forth. It's not Uhuru.
So he's just telling us what is happening.
He's saying this is your constitution.
Okay.
You can revert it if you want.
Mike Mbachi says, that's the Uhuru, you support Manyora. You have gone to something I'm not going to say. So forever hold your peace. Do not say that he's courting a revolution.
No, and he has said it himself. Uhuru himself has said that. He said, if we do this, we can get a revolution. I was putting it in context. Many people have asked him. What I meant was, when you push the prices of essential commodities like fuel, with the petrol going at 134, 135, and more in other areas. And I said, in what country is that taking place? I explained it is in a country with one of the highest unemployment rates. I said it's in a country where about half of the people go to bed hungry. It's in a country where statistics from the World Bank and from the government, people, more than 50%, around 50% of the people live on less than $1 a day. In a country like that, would you be justified, unless you are blind, to push the price of petrol that high? Because then the price of fuel affects everything else. Are we together?
Yeah.
But I also said, while you are increasing essential commodities and making life unbearable for the people, We have leaders allowing their greed. They are showing us their stomach protruding, and they want more. Governors want 11 million sent off. They want to be paid 700,000 per month until they die. And if they die, their wives, and I said it could be their youngest wife, to be paid. And where does that happen in the world? So I was creating a proper context and say, President Uhuru Kenyatta, you are leading a country that is sliding towards a revolution.
And that's
Because when you have 50% of the country not able to eat, is it sustainable? I don't need to be an economist to know that it's not sustainable.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you must reduce unemployment in our country, reduce poverty levels. Let's have a minimal number we cannot go below in terms of employment, in terms of hunger and other desperations. So if you don't take care of those things, certainly even if you keep a shenzi dog at home, you now stop feeding it. It will feed on your chicken.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's a question of survival.
Here's Andrew Ndabuki. Former President Moi said, "Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. As long as we keep voting along tribal and party lines with no regard to character, then we shouldn't complain. We keep voting in selfish characters and expect them to be saints once they get in office." Can Kenyans be blamed for all this, or our leaders too good at lying?
It is, you know, when the kind of people we elect, it's not just a simple thing you can blame on people. People have been pushed into a certain state where they only see that these are the electable people and not the other set. So you cannot blame the people. However, we can do things through even legislation. We ask ourselves, why do you think people steal? They steal to be elected. So why can't we block? By simple thing like illegalizing Harambee meetings, Harambee contributions, people will have less incentive to steal. You get? And therefore, if people are not going to do development, so with the money they have stolen, Kenyans will now begin to work out how else do we identify our leaders. Because every society has a way of identifying its leaders. We have boxed ourselves into a situation. You cannot be picked for leadership in this country, political leadership, even other, unless you are a person who spends money. So once we cut that, we no longer look at people in terms of how much money they spend. Because we have outlawed Harambee, we are moving somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's just moving towards the right direction.
Yes,
one
I'm
step
not
at a
blaming
time.
the people.
Okay, Kimwaki Steve says, between Raila and Ruto, who is worse? Prof, tell us one place in this world that one has sworn himself as a people's president, and walks scot-free. It's only in Kenya here you're trying to demonstrate to the Kenyan people that Ruto is the worst living human being who has all manner of evils. Please stop it. We are not fools. This is when you're talking about the handshake that is
But
going
the
to
people
happen.
are always swearing. It's just him who doesn't know. I don't want to teach him. Go to Venezuela, go to Ghana. These things have happened.
It's just
It almost happened in
political.
Zimbabwe. But they are always happening. They are always happening that we have parallel governments in the world. Yeah,
So you're not portraying Ruto in a
no,
bad way?
no. Raila swearing in himself in. Actually, if you ask Raila, I've never asked him, but I know he didn't want it. But the people were so charged, they needed something. You need some catharsis.
His followers?
Yeah. Let me, some people have sometimes they don't want to see things. Raila was in a very difficult situation. With Miguna leading the NRM boycott of things, and then David Ndeye on the other hand talking about secession and the beginning things in the county assemblies, this country was going to go to the dogs. You get it? So that one singular act of swearing Raila in served to assuage the people, to bring them down. Shh. And I'm sure government and then the intelligence people, NIS, whatever they are called, must have advised Uhuru, this thing is good. Wacha Raila afanye hii mambo ishi. Watu watulie. Waseme tuko na president yet. But he will not come to State House.
Oh.
Yeah. And Raila didn't, you know, if Raila was dangerous, if Raila was, like some people I will not mention today, you know that crowd in Uhuru Park, if they march to State House, what could anybody do about it? Anybody. Not the police, not the president, not the military, nothing. You do nothing about it. And that is how things get bad in countries.
Like the way they entered Congress in the US?
Yeah. What would you do? You'll have to start from somewhere. There will be so much that will go wrong. So so those who blame Raila for that swearing in, he calculated and saw in my thinking that the people are so charged. You need to do something to put them down.
Oh.
And that singular event of swearing in sorted out all the problems.
The final comment from Fine Mercury says, Ruto is a following. Ruto isn't an individual in politics, but the people behind him. There are very many communities, religions, groups, and masses of people. When you say His Excellency Uhuru can't accept back Ruto, you mean all the above that makes him is isolated. How do we reason as Kenyans? Kenyans need a huge bridge to unite Kenya. It's that simple.
He didn't understand what I said. I said, in the context of the confrontation from Ruto and the affront on the president and the government, it was not going to be possible for Uhuru to accept Ruto in that state. And I gave examples. Say, if you are coming for mediation or whatever it is, there are certain irreducible minimums. And I gave an example. I say, if you are a rebel leader, or if you are an opposition leader, and we must sit down, you are Raila and I'm Kibaki, the least non-negotiable, irreducible, is you must come to that table knowing you are coming to talk to the President of the Republic of Kenya. Yeah. I gave that example. So I'm saying, if Ruto really wants to talk to Uhuru, there are certain things he must stop doing, and there are other things he must put into place. Okay. How can you be leading UDA and say you are going to talk to the President, and you are in Jubilee with him?
Those ones should be non-negotiable.
How can you be saying that the government has never done anything since you left in 2018? How can you be saying that it's you who was running government in 2013, 2017, and then you come and sit with Uhuru? That's not possible. But, so this guy, I think he got it wrong.
But maybe Ruto felt betrayed by the president.
Betrayed how? This is politics.
This is politics.
It's politics.
We'll come back. Let's take a look at the talk, some of the things that people are saying out there, and we just have a brief conversation on it. Today's conversation is what Professor calls a revolution bond to happen if things continue as they are. Where should we go, and whom should we look up to for us to solve our problems as a country? From Professor Herman Manyora's video for last week, he said Uhuru is courting a revolution. When you look at the economical status of the country, you look at the fuel prices, you look at people going to bed hungry, most people living under $1 a day, as he said. This is below the poverty wage line in the country. Professor, when will we start seeing this revolution happening? At what point should we start saying something is...
Nobody wants a revolution, and I said, and I was very categorical and very clear. Because when you have any disturbance in a country, you will spoil so many things, and it takes many years to stabilize again. So nobody would go for it. Number two, I said, even those who start these things, nobody gains. Nobody ever gains from those kind of disturbances. So we all want social order.
Even those that will take leadership?
Yeah, nobody gains. And if you have read world history, and we need not. Even in Egypt here, where did he take them? Tunisia, Egypt, Sudan. Where has he taken them? And I must explain something. Stability in the developed world is because they ensure the poorest of the poor can survive. That's why you can go to bed knowing that your neighbor is not coming for you. Because at least, as you have your 5-course meal, he can have madondo chapati. Unanishika, sukuma ugali. But we want to create a world that has never existed. Where you live in a country where you can eat everything, you have everything you want, where your dog, you spend 50,000 per month on your dog, veterinary and the food, the shampoo and what, and you pay somebody who guards you 7,000 at night, who must walk coming to your place to guard you, who must walk 15 kilometers, then 15 back. And then we have many people who are not employed, who cannot even eat. They don't know where their meal will come from. That is a make-believe world. It has never happened. It will not happen. And we are heading to that kind of world that is not sustainable. It's not.
Sustainable.
So you find in countries like European countries, they even have welfare packages. Like for example, when winters are so hot, you can die from winter. So they ensure things like gas for warming houses is available even to the poorest. And there are even schemes where they give people stipends or dole. You know, you are on the dole, you get some little money to survive on. You know, of course, this is perfected in Scandinavian countries, where if you are not working, you get unemployment. So, in other words, the bottom line of what I'm saying is, if you don't take care of those people down, and they are in the majority. Yesterday, I was arguing on these WhatsApp things with my colleagues at the university. I say, Kumbe, people don't understand this country. People don't know that when you go to your house and flush your toilet, you are just among less than 20% of people who can do that in Nairobi.
20%.
Yes. Over 80% of Nairobi, they don't know what a flush toilet is. They don't have it. They don't have running water. They don't have houses. They live in those things. And they're so make sure even when they are in those holes of theirs, let them at least eat. Let them. You cannot have 80% of the population going to bed hungry for a day, two, and you think you can be encouraged.
At what
They will
point,
run you down.
At what point will Kenyans be triggered?
Where we are heading now
Kenyans
is where we are
going
heading.
Out on the streets?
Where two things are happening simultaneously. Our leaders are greedy, wanting more and more for themselves in terms of salaries and packages, and where the prices corresponding with this are going up and up and up. And the taxes are not helping it. Do you see now the problem? I'm not an economist, but you can see. The greed of our leaders, they are becoming more confident in the way they steal from us, asking for more and more in terms of salaries and allowances and the big vehicles, side by side with the people suffering in a way you can't even imagine a human being can suffer. With the prices of basic commodities going through the roof. And the same people, during our days, we were told, we used to know, if we went to school, we will save our parents because we will get jobs. It happened in a small way. Now you are in your house. There is no hope because even those you have taken to school have joined you. Do you know in Kibre, that one room, there's a man and a wife with a university graduate, their son, staying in that room. He has nowhere else to sleep.
No jobs.
No job. He's a graduate, living in that one room with the mother and the father and siblings. That's not sustainable.
Where would you say we went wrong? Is it that we did not implement our constitution? We don't have a benevolent dictator that will be able to deal with the problems that we have in a country? Or our leaders simply don't care?
No, it's policy. We need policies. We need a caring government. You don't even need to be intelligent. You just need to know that let us enjoy all the things this country has to offer us as leaders. It's normal. There's no problem with that. But let Wanjiko afford, akiamka asubuhi anaweza pata kopo la uji. Lunch time anaweza pata kagitheri. Na jioni anaweza pata ugali na sukuma wiki. You get what I'm saying? If you depart from that, if you think you can have a society or a country where a majority of the people will have no idea of where their meal in the evening will come from, you are just a fool. It's not sustainable. And nobody will plan these things. They just happen simultaneously, spontaneously.
Yeah.
They just, something small like in Tunisia triggers it. And then everything is gone haywire.
Yeah.
So I'm asking our people to reduce their greed. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just reduce your greed and theft.
Oh.
Because everything that happens in this country is a project for some people to eat. At all levels. If you, I like you giving examples of our school. Let's say a hospital. If you see a fence being erected, stone wall, it is not because the school or the hospital requires a stone wall. It is because through that somebody will eat.
No.
Mtoto wake sasa ataenda London. Anajua hiyo project ya kufence ikiisha, amelipia Mary wake, mtoto wake fees London.
Some millions.
You see, if we don't move away from that and begin to see this country as all we have, as something we must love and nurture, and not something you can stab and cut pieces and eat. We are just idiots.
Finally, let me ask this. I've seen political leaders coming out. Even Miguna put a statement on his Twitter and saying, we need a revolution, viva. Should Kenyans look forward to a revolution?
Not done. I have said it doesn't help anybody. The only kind of revolution that helps people is a visionary leader who comes to the scene with a vision. Unfortunately, for us who believe in the Western world, those are people in the Western world. The Gaddafis, Cuba, even Ethiopia at some time, even Russia. Because people may tell you the Stalins and the rest were bad people. But in 2018, Russian soldiers were fighting barefoot. Barefoot!
2018.
At the end of the First World War.
No.
And you know the Russian winter is the worst winter in the world.
No.
Na wanakanyaga mguu chini. Less than 5 years within 5 years with the revolution, Russia was a superpower.
After the war.
Yeah. Courtesy of the vision of those people. I know there are excesses that go with those kind of things. And that's why you're saying in the modern world, we need not say we can only achieve great things through those stupid means. We can sit down and reason and come up with policies and laws that enable us to move like human beings in the 21st century who can do the best for society without making it so difficult that the only way you can bring this kind of changes that are desirable is through those undesirable means.
Okay.
Correct.
Policies and laws it is. That has been the talk. When we come back, it's would you rather, see what Professor would rather gamble with. A light moment before we call it a wrap. Okay, Prof, would you rather have Alfred Mutua or Senator Malala as your neighbor? You're moving into a new place.
Well, any of them can be, but I think Mutua, since he's a good man.
He has several parties.
When I'm hungry, I can go and get some little food.
Okay,
Malala is as poor as me.
Huh? Would you rather have Susan Kihika or Alice Wahome as your communications director now that you have a PR consultancy?
Susan Kika or Alice Wahome?
Yes.
I think I'll go for Alice Wahome. She's
Wahome.
been around for a while. Yes.
Not caring about the bottom-up thing.
No, she may. Oh, that's the problem. You have given me a bad choice.
Yeah.
So I'm just closing my eyes and picking one.
Okay, would you rather have Gladys Cholet or Governor Charity Ngilu, my slip of the tongue, as your psychologist?
Charity Ngilu, anytime.
Charity Ngilu.
Anytime. She's a mature lady. She understands. She's been around. She knows.
Gladys Cholet?
Cholet is a good person. She's very sharp, very intelligent. But the role you are talking about, Ngilu will be better.
Ngilu will be
it's like somebody who can help you manage certain things.
Yeah.
Almost really like a psychological leader. Yeah, you need somebody like him.
Okay, thank you so much. That has been Understanding Politics with me together with Professor Herman Manyora. Until we have these conversations again, I hope you have subscribed, you share. I see Prof already putting on a mask.
Putting on a mask.
You're leaving.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have yourselves a lovely rest of your day.